Hi, Keshav here. Welcome back. As part of our video series, let's get started with the next video. In this video, I'm going to show you some major differences between Azure Data Factory and Data Factory in Fabric. Alright, for any Azure data engineer, right, it's very important to know what are the differences between Data Factory in Azure and Data Factory in Fabric. Alright, there are quite few differences. Even at UI side also there are some differences, but I'm not going through all the differences, but at least some important differences those any data engineer essentially should know. I'm going through those differences. Let's see. So generally in Azure Data Factory, the basic unit is pipeline. Whatever you want to do, always you need to create a pipeline. For example, if you want to copy the data or if you want to do anything, you have to have pipeline created. Of course, as part of pipeline, we need to create link service, dataset. That is different story. But anyways, the basic unit in Data Factory is pipeline, right? Whereas in Data Factory in Fabric, what we call it as data pipeline. Alright, so in Azure Data Factory we call pipeline, here we call data pipeline. Alright, so in Azure Data Factory we have mainly the main two important activities. Of course there are quite a few other activities, but mainly for data movement we use copy activity and data flow majorly for transformations, right? So in Azure Data Factory the data flow is mapping data flow, whereas in Fabric it is data flow gen 2. Data flow gen 2 is more powerful compared to mapping data flow, and it provides easier experience to build and transform the data. Alright, so in Azure Data Factory, as part of our pipeline development, first we create link service, then we create dataset, right? Whereas in Fabric there is no concept of data set. We create a connection itself will have the data source and pull the data. That's it. Alright, link services, and of course connection in Azure Data Factory we call it as link service, whereas in Fabric still it's kind of link service only, but here we call them as connections. Alright, connections are similar to link services in Azure Data Factory. When it comes to triggers, the next thing, triggers. Generally in Azure Data Factory we have three types of triggers: schedule trigger, event based triggers, then tumbling window trigger. Alright, whereas in Fabric we got schedule trigger and event based trigger, of course, but there is no tumbling window trigger at this moment. Maybe it might come in future, but currently we don't have tumbling window trigger. Along with this we have lake house trigger also. So next, when you want to save the pipeline in Azure Data Factory, we have to publish the pipeline to live services. Alright, either you need to publish, or if you have Git repository setup, you can save directly in our branches, future branches, right? But whereas in Fabric we no need to publish to save the changes. We got save and run, both the options are available in Fabric. Alright, so at any point in time you can save the pipeline just by clicking on save button. Fine. When it comes to runtime, so in Azure Data Factory we have different types of runtimes like auto resolve and Azure integration runtime, right? These two are not applicable in Fabric. Fabric there is no concept of runtime. Generally if you want to pull the data from on-premises by using Azure Data Factory, we need to have self-hosted integration runtime created, right? But whereas Fabric there is no self-hosted integration runtime. In place of that we have to have data gateway created. Here on-premises data gateway is equivalent to self-hosted integration runtime, but this on-premises data gateway can be used for other services like Power BI, and it can be used for like Logic App or even for Power Automate. So you can use this on-premises gateway for other components as well. Alright, These are some important differences what any data engineer should be aware of. Apart from this, the one important activity that I wanted to speak about is Outlook activity. So let me just take you into my Fabric environment. So I wanted to show you quickly how that Outlook activity looks, right? I'm not going to show you practically how it's going to be working, but let me quickly connect to my Fabric. I already connected to Fabric. So I got one pipeline created. Either I can get into this pipeline or I can create a new pipeline. That should be fine. Okay, let me show you quickly. Anyways, we are not practically implementing here. If I go to activities, all the way, if I go right here, I see one activity called Office 365 Outlook activity. Of course, currently it is in preview, but still, it comes soon. Yeah, so this activity is going to make data engineer life definitely easy. In Azure Data Factory, right, if you want to just notify users after completion of your pipeline or after failure, whatever, if you want to send out a mail, either we need to use Logic app or Function app, or I need to set up alerts at Azure or Data Factory monitor, right? So, but here in Fabric, right, we got directly activity called Outlook activity. It's very simple to configure. If you go to settings, right, it's pretty simple. Just you need to sign in with your account. If I sign in with my account, yeah, this is my Fabric account. Let me say allow access. Alright, see here, just you need to provide to ID, subject, and of course body. Even if you want to create a dynamic body here through any parameters or system variables, of course you can do that. Yeah, that's what I wanted to cover in this video. Yeah, that's it for today. I wanted to cover some differences, what we see in Fabric and how it is different from our Azure Data Factory. Alright, yeah, thanks for watching this video. We'll meet again in next video. Until then, bye bye. Thank you.